We are live.
Live.
Where the real eaters at?
We had 170 people already loaded in before the stream even started. Let's see how many people are coming in their first few minutes.
Love that.
God damn.
Late
that's
spam
a
like
lot of
always, whatever. TD3 tradition, I guess.
Be quiet. Be quiet.
Just
Quiet.
remind
Yappers.
Pipe
Actually,
down.
early, too.
Man. We have a stream today. Last night, Mo texted in the group chat. He was like, I can't wait to stream. He's been excited for the past 12 hours. A lot to talk about.
This was what my day was supposed to be circled around. This is what I woke up for. Without this stream, I wouldn't be up.
Move your mic closer to your mouth. You're a little quiet. But yeah, man. Very exciting series to talk about. I see everybody spamming the chat, talking about my team. We're going to get to every single team because we're going to talk about the 3 playoff series that ended. We got to go one by one since the last time we talked. And then we have to do our conference finals previews. So, Donovan, do you want to start with your pain or my pain?
You know, we start with your pain a lot because we start with the Lakers all the time. So come on, let's talk about it. What do we want to talk about? Do we want to?
We are going to talk about Tyrese Halliburton and the Indiana Pacers getting the Knicks the fuck up out of here, beating them in Game 7 in New York, wearing the Reggie Miller hoodie. A lot of talk, trash talking, front running, some on Twitter might say. A whole lot of interesting stuff going into it. But the main topic is your team lost. Tell me how you feel about it.
Quick, before we get to the Knicks perspective, you want to start with Tyrese real quick?
Start with whatever you want. Let me hear your thoughts.
It's your bag.
First thing, Tyrese didn't wear the hoodie coming into the arena. He had it packed in his bag, ready for post game, right?
Yawn.
I'm not saying that he's a front runner, but you're not beating front runner allegations by doing that, right? You got to walk in 7 wearing that hoodie. There's my thing on that. I don't really care too much. The Pacers, shout out to them. If you're gonna shoot 70% from the field, hey man, like I don't know what to tell you about that. And then 2, Isaac, you trying to come at me on Twitter? I saw you, right?
What did I do? The people want to know.
No, you were trying to set me up.
What did he say to you specifically?
I
have to find the tweet, but somebody clipped out a video post game 6 of the Sixers series, and I was like, you know what? I feel pretty confident. We'll see you guys in the Eastern Conference Finals, right? And obviously they lost. And Isaac quoted the video and was like, "How will you respond?" And I was like, mind you, I said this before 3 more Knicks died on the floor.
The people asked, I furthered the message because they tagged me and not you. It's not my fault they came to me instead of coming to you directly because they didn't have the balls to tell you that. I had to be the messenger. It's not my fault.
You tried to set me up. And you tried to ruin my day.
Tom Thibodeau tried to set you up. Tom Thibodeau threw a lob and they're dunking it on your head. It's not my fault.
Listen, it is what it is. And although everybody got hurt, and it's fitting that Jalen broke his hand in the last game, right? Just one more injury going into the offseason, right? One more for the road. I love this team to death. And I'm proud that we're here. I said after game 2, I'd be shocked if we won any more games. I was surprised that they won game 5. I kind of was expecting a game 6 win, but that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is. Like you can't expect a team that has 6.5 players with 3 of them being non-shooters to win a series. In the Pacers, like they might be the fastest team of all time. I've never ever seen even on the highlights of peak Phoenix Suns, I've never seen a team run as fast as they do. I've never seen a team push. TJ McConnell he's a white monster. He's ridiculous. Yesterday was wild, and like it sucks. It sucks that we didn't make it. Shout out to the Pacers. Everybody was like, "Is this the start of like the anti-Tyrese agenda? Like, do you hate Tyrese?" No, I don't hate Tyrese Halliburton. He was kind of corny this entire series. Like it is what it is. But like, hey, shout out to them.
Chat, let me know how you guys feel, chat. Is this season a success for the Knicks? You know, Jalen Brunson was asked it after the game. He was pissed off. Let me know what you think, chat. Do you feel happy with the Knicks season if you're a Knicks fan? What do you think, Mo?
Obviously, you should feel happy. You know, that's a rhetorical question because this is the best Knicks season in how long? I couldn't even tell you, bro. Certainly over the last 10, 15, whatever years, you know. To come into the season and to have like lofty expectations that the Knicks would be, or for anyone to say that the Knicks would be the number 2 overall seed and also be like teetering to the Eastern Conference Finals, everyone will call you a damn fool, you know. But at the same time, you have to. This is like the most maximized team that I've seen in a long ass time. Considering all the shit that they've been through, of course, Julius Randle, we haven't seen him play since like January or so, something crazy like that. Him going down and then going through the OG Anunoby like regular injuries that he's gone through throughout his career sucks. You know, we all saw him get shot up when people are saying horse tranquilizer and he's just like looking funny running.
That was
funny,
crazy. That was crazy that he tried to
he
play.
Shouldn't have played. He should not have played. And I think how many minutes did he play that game?
He played the first 4 or 5 minutes of the game. Knocked down 2 threes, which is crazy. But like he shouldn't have been out there. You could tell from the opening tip that he could not run. But again, shout out to him for trying. Shout out to him for trying. But no.
Shout out to OG Anunoby and shout out to Philly Loving Ginger for once again, seems like a weekly basis, donating $100. Listen, he's passing up Kevin Galicki as our most consistent donor. We appreciate you, man.
Kevin Galicki all in from Bora Bora right now with the $200 donation.
How would you respond? Shout out to Joseph 12
on the line.
Shout out to Joseph 12 Basketball for tipping $1. Shout out to Royal Dumbass for tipping $5. Appreciate y'all. He said great greetings from Finland. Shout out Finland. And shout out to Joaquin 37 for donating $7. Appreciate all y'all.
Thank you.
Nice.
Isaac, when you saw this overall, like high level, what are your thoughts about this series?
Well, I mean, it's as simple as the Knicks got injured and couldn't finish it out, right? We know they're a different team when they have OG Anunoby and when they don't. They were the worst defense in the playoffs this series. I think for the whole playoffs, actually. They had an atrocious defense. It'd be like that when you lose OG Anunoby. You know, they weren't good even when they had him because they're missing a lot of bodies. They played first Joel Embiid and then the Pacers, second best offense in the league most of the season behind the Boston Celtics. So it was going to be tough sledding to keep up with that. And when you just lose this many bodies, when everybody wears down over time, Donovan said it seemed like what did you say, Donovan? 3 people died of battle wounds or something like that?
Yeah, 3 people died in battle.
Exactly. That's what it is, right? Like, shout out to Pacers. They did their job. They took advantage of the situation they had. They played their own 100%. Game and won the war of attrition. But it was a war of attrition, right? I don't think anybody thinks this team was necessarily better. They were healthier, and that matters a lot in a playoff setting. And that's what happens when you have the depth of the Pacers. You don't have to play people 42 minutes a game, 48 minutes a game like Tom Thibodeau has been doing. And the healthier team won, as they tend to do. It happened to them 2 series in a row. I don't know if it's going to continue against the Celtics. But other than that, it really comes down to that, I think. We can talk about other stuff that they did well. TJ McConnell taking over and destroying the entire New York Knicks bench. We could talk about the up and downness.
Doing the same thing.
Nesmith, his elite defense.
Yeah, Aaron Nesmith did the same thing. Pascal Siakam started this game like 5 of 5. He wasn't missing. Miles Turner was really he was massive with timely threes, specifically down the second half of the stretch. If you want to talk about crazy luck, you go back to game 3, the shot that the Nemhard had, right? Like if that series ends up going 3-0 rather than 2-1, it's a completely different series. But the Pacers were able to hit timely shots when they needed to. Again, you don't need to win 7 games to win these series. You just got to get 4. And they did what they had to do four times. And now they're moving on. And low key, and we'll talk about it more, but like the way that they played and the way that they were able to get certain timely stops, obviously is going to be different against a much more offensively talented team like Boston. But they have the tools and they have the play style to give Boston just a little test, right? As much of a test as possible. I think they might be able to do some stuff in the next round.
When I hear that, I think maybe they'll win 2 games instead of 1 like the Cavs. I don't know. What do you think, Mo? Do you think they have a chance?
No, yeah. When I hear a test, I just hear like maybe they might steal a game, absolute max 2, because I just feel like defensively, offensively, this team just laps the Boston or the Indiana Pacers across like every certain aspect. But it'll be interesting to see how Tyrese is able to navigate through arguably the best perimeter defense in the entire NBA. But I don't really know if they have a chance against the Celtics.
People are spamming in the chat that right now Mo looks like Campaign. Is this because of the hat, or what are they talking about?
Campaign is
don't
crazy.
know.
That's a wild allegation.
When I think of Campaign, all I think about is the picture of him like with his head
Oh
side
yeah,
or at the barbershop or whatever.
yeah. Where he looks like Phineas, where his head is just mad like
Oh yeah.
triangular. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So what's the forgiving the postseason like referendum on the Knicks,
Mhm.
giving them their farewell speech, putting their grave into the ground? What do we say about the season for the Knicks?
You say that this season, you said that this season was one the most fun and encouraging season of Knicks basketball in 25 years. You say
Okay.
that Jalen Brunson has ascended into New York royalty, and he's proven that he is the piece that you can build around, and that now you are now into that next step of your quote unquote rebuild, and you have to find the pieces, all the pieces around Jalen Brunson that work, and you need to find another creator. And three, there needs to be a conversation in the back room.
Mhm.
Not a lot of people, no cameras, nothing. And you have to think in 2 years, is Tibbs going to be the coach? Because
Whoa.
because as again, nobody knows, nobody's ever going to report this, but this is now, and I going through the series, I stood up for Tibbs a little bit because I don't think that he had much of an option to play these
Mhm.
guys 42, 45 minutes because you're in the playoffs now. Like this is what you save all of your rest for, right? You save it so that your key players can play big minutes in the playoffs. But this is now three teams that Tibbs has coached that players have died in battle. And
Mhm.
if you're the Knicks and you have a whole bunch of not only the talent, but you have great contracts in Brunson and Dante and Deuce. You have flexibility right now. This is going to be the window. You have to ask, like, are we going to go through this again next year? And are we going to be able to get to the second round, but have seven people left because we ran guys into the ground?
Yeah,
I
I'm glad you
that's
said
that's
this.
that's the big question.
Pull up this tweet. I saw someone talk about that. The Tibbs era has a cycle of these 10 stages. 1. He changes the culture. Players embrace hard working. 2. These players perform beyond expectations, i.e., Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart this year. 3. A star is born or brought over, Jalen Brunson.
Brunson.
4. Expectations now form. People were saying they should make the conference finals, right? That's kind of what was expected because they're playing so well. 5. A deep playoff run is expected. I guess the same thing as 4. 6. Freak injuries. Whole team died. All of them. One by one. Dominoes. It was like the Grizzlies early in the season. Just dead, 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 dead. It was a kill streak. After that, fans defend Tibbs hard. 8. Same players aren't the same next year. We'll see if Josh Hart continues to play like that. Fans turn on Tibbs, and then he's fired. We're precisely halfway through this bitch. It's all making sense
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah. It again, it's the cycle, and you just have to wonder. There's a lot of decisions to make because on one hand, you look at the Knicks, and if this was like the regular team, and you just had like the 10 players that they started the playoffs with, then you would say, okay, yeah, like we're right on schedule, and everyone's like, oh, like what, like how are the Knicks gonna get better? What are they gonna do? What if you add a guy that's 24-9 and an all-star caliber player? Like having $30 million on the bench and not available to you does hamstring you a lot. If you add Randall back into this mix, I think that's good. If you decide to trade for not even like Devin Booker or Joel Embiid or whatever that is, if you decide to trade for like Mikal Bridges, how much of the depth are you going to give up, right? The depth that this entire city and this entire fan base loves. How much of that goes away for a team that is now, okay, we made the move. We're supposed to win the Eastern Conference Finals. We're supposed to go to the finals. What's that looking like? So
Yeah.
it's
Mo,
tough. It's a lot of
how did
questions.
you feel? Mo, I fully expect them to be a 1 or 2 seed next year. I think for everything Dominic saying, adding in Randall, getting all these guys healthy, having Bowie on for a full season, which I don't think he's a free agent, is he? I don't remember. Regardless, getting all
Yeah.
these guys back and
1
having
year, I think.
Randall, I think they'll be a 1 or 2 seed next year. Do you think they can repeat this, Mo?
That tweet that you showed is very scary because like you said, we're right on time with everything, and at the end of the season, like we all have these high expectations considering like the all the moves that could be made, whether it be like players just being healthy or like maneuvering some things, tweaking the roster here and there, and maybe they end up getting like Brunson and another second option who is more consistent and whatnot. But overall, like I am just gonna stand pat. You can't be here. I can't sit here and like watch basketball for the last like 10, 12 years, real basketball, and like actually having thoughts about it and see a team like the New York Knicks have the most success that they've had in, like you said, 20, 25 years or whatever it is, Donovan, and immediately call Tibbs into question. Like at this point in time, like this is a time to quite literally rejoice, and just be happy for what you have now. And at this point in time, like, once you guys do fail and all those things come across your face at that point in time, then sure, like adjust it, understand that all the information you gathered over the last 2 years. But if I'm a fan, like I'm lit right now. So I
Yeah,
don't
it's
understand
got to
it.
be an encouraging season. There's nothing.
For sure, for sure.
There's no real downside, right? They're perform better than expectations. They had an opportunity to add a big star or more pieces, whatever it may be. They're not done. They continue to have assets. We talk about teams not getting back to this point. That's implying like they made a finals run or something. The Knicks aren't at their point yet. They're still building up to when they can finally make a legit run, waiting for that domino drop that makes it possible. And I think this year proved that they're a lot closer than we might have expected. Because I think early in the season, we're all saying that they're cool, they're good, but nobody's expecting them to be like an elite team. And I fully expect like going into next year, like wherever our predictions lie next season, they'll be high up on that list.
I agree. In the NBA, something that I think we get wrong or we take for granted is that once a team performs in the playoffs, they have an encouraging year. We're like, oh wow, like this team is going to be around for 7, 8 years. Like the window's open, the time is now. And a lot of times things can close very quickly, right? Things can turn around. Like the Memphis Grizzlies after last year, we were all like, okay, like yeah, you lost to the Lakers, but everybody is you're coming into next year, you have high expectations, and all of a sudden, boom, Ja suspended, hurt, Desmond Bain hurt, like everybody just hurt, and your season's over, and next thing you know, you're picking in the lottery. Like these things are not like guaranteed. And for Tibbs, I'll say that I do think that Tibbs should be the coach, and he is a good coach. I will say this one thing in terms of like striking while the iron's hot. Tibbs made the conference finals as the coach of the Bulls in year one when they had MVP Derrick Rose. Since then, he has not coached the team back to the conference finals. They have not. His teams have not made it back to that point. Whether the reasons are talent, him running people into the ground, all that other stuff. It's been 13 years since Tibbs has coached a team to the conference finals. So now, like, you got to start beating allegations and strike while the iron's hot and start doing stuff this offseason.
Yeah. I mean, that is true, but at the same time, it's also been like 13 years since he's had a player or a team as good as the one that he has now and as cohesive, like other than, I don't know, the Minnesota days, which was just like straight up chaos and terror. And a lot of people just almost wish that didn't happen. There's never been a real opportunity for Tibbs to go ahead and do what he's done now. And now that he has that opportunity, I don't know. If I'm a Knicks fan, I feel really comfortable where you're at, considering like just a couple months ago, there were people like Becky Hammond who was like, yeah, no, this team cannot get so far at all with your first player being or your number one option being Jalen Brunson. Also going back to her, you think
she popped? I mean, she popped champagne yesterday. Like,
right.
Jalen Brunson had several bad games in this series. That I'm not going to say it's 100% because he's small, but you see players like Tatum and Ant and bigger guys, and a lot of the stuff that people are throwing at Brunson is just like, hey, let's just put a tall guy on him and just make him work. Whereas for other guys who are 6'3", 6'4", and above, that's not the immediate solution to guarding him the way it is for Brunson. So like, like she was onto something, and and again, like people were also just ridiculous because it's not like that. It's not like she said something that nobody else has said in the last 50 years of the NBA. Like she didn't say anything wild that anybody else honestly disagreed with. She just happened to be a woman, and everyone was like, she doesn't know ball. Like this really just it.
Yeah, we can move on. We talked enough about the Knicks. That's 20 minutes on Knicks talk, whatever. Cooked. Let's talk about the other team that got cooked in Game 7. Before we get to that other Game 7, y'all, we got 240 likes on the stream. Almost 1,200 in here. Do me a favor. Run that up to 500 likes for us. Because now is the time that everybody on Twitter has been harassing me about. Time we've been waiting for. We got to talk about Nuggets versus Timberwolves.
They got him out of here.
Woo! Everybody
We just
asks why I
witnessed.
got this hat like this right now, and it's because of what
No,
we.
you're a munch for that, and you ask all the time, what happened to Shane? What happened to your Shane? What happened
I've
to
been wearing
your
my hat
Shane?
like this since like 2016. This is just my first time wearing it like this on this platform. But continue.
Isaac, tell the people what happened. Keep going.
So, as you guys know, the Nuggets versus Timberwolves was the matchup of the playoffs, right? These are the two best teams in the West. This felt like the conference finals, maybe even the finals, depending on how you feel about the Celtics. And it was crazy. First two games, the Timberwolves beat the fuck out of the defending champions. Everybody in the media went up into their shows, their podcasts, and was like, oh my God, Tim Connolly did it. He made the Jokic stopper team. Rudy Gobert is vindicated. Anthony Edwards is Jordan. Holy shit. And then the Nuggets won 3 straight games. And we were like, man, Jokic is inevitable. Why do we overreact? Three games in a row is a lot of games looking like they're going to win. I don't know. We recorded last episode after those 3 games, before the last 2. And I was like, oh my God, Jokic is unstoppable. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's feeling good as a Nuggets/Jokic fan.
Eater.
And then the Timberwolves proceed to win the next 2 games. A blowout. And then the best comeback I've ever seen in the last 5 to 7 years of NBA playoffs. I don't even know. They came back from down 20 in a game 7. That has almost never happened. This was one of the best team defensive performances I've ever seen, especially off of a first half where the Timberwolves looked like shit. They were lackadaisical. Anthony Edwards was getting double teamed and looked like he'd never seen a double team a day in his life. He was looking like Devin Booker in an open gym, like he was about to start complaining about it because he was getting pissed. He didn't know what to do. Cat didn't look great. Gobert looked like he had the coordination of a baby giraffe. It was terrible. And that second half, man, I've never seen a team flip a switch like that. They locked the fuck in. Ant's shot wasn't falling, but he was defending his ass off. You know, there's a lot of Michael Jordan comparisons, which are usually pretty lazy. He was defending like Michael Jordan. The way he was reaching around, poking the ball, making Jamal Murray go through hell, even bring the ball past half court, that was all-time defensive stuff. Even though his shot wasn't falling, he found a way to impact the team, keep the energy high. Nas fucking Reed won them the game in the fourth quarter. It was just everything came together that you would expect from a Minnesota Timberwolves victory. And all you can say is this team is amazing, right?
My question is, what did we not see to come together for the Denver Nuggets? How did they just go ahead and just blow up a 20-point lead in the third quarter?
Michael Porter Jr., money laundering. KCP, point shaving. Aaron Gordon, playing with his hands behind his back. They had 2 30-point scores in this game, and then everybody else in single digits. The Wolves defense locked all the role players down, and that made the difference. In those 3 games we saw the Nuggets win 3 in a row, Aaron Gordon was the difference in a lot of those games. Right? Michael Porter Jr. didn't play good the whole series, but we saw Aaron Gordon be the difference a lot of times and win them some games. We saw these motherfuckers lose them this game this time because they got no help outside of the big 2. Jokic played great. Murray played great. Outside of that, you can't really say that about anybody else.
I would have liked to see Jokic hit a 3 earlier. If we're nitpicking, I'm just saying.
That's a deciding factor.
I just would have liked to see it.
I would like to see MPJ hit a 3 earlier. I would like to see him hit several 3s earlier.
It's top-down economics when it comes to NBA basketball. I need your best player to do it. Nah, I mean, I seriously considered getting a tattoo right here that said Nas Reed, period.
He's so good.
He was hooping. The putback dunk that he had at the end of the game to basically that was the dagger. I know like Ant's 3 really ended the game, but the Nas Reed putback dunk is where I was like, oh no, like they're gonna do this. I don't think Denver has another run in them. I'm still speechless. I still can't believe that we actually saw a team go into Denver and out execute the Nuggets in the fourth quarter. And I mean, there was times like Nas Reed had blocked Jokic down low, like they were playing one-on-one. Like, everything that Minnesota did,
swarming, bro, was
exactly what you saw in the first 2 games. And for Denver, this is what happens when obviously MPJ, like as I said, MPJ and Aaron Gordon don't play well, but also you don't have the Bruce Brown guy who can come in and randomly score 20 points off the bench. You see all the time in championship runs and long playoff runs, guys come off the bench and they'll have a random 17-point game. And you look at them and you're like, I ain't never, ever seen you act like this before. And the Nuggets don't have that guy on the bench. Whereas the Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards also has that level where it's like, I've never seen you play like this before. Karl Anthony Towns has gone to, he's played at a level that we've never seen him play at. Naz Reid has elevated himself. Gobert is arguably the best version of himself right now. Jaden McDaniels in the first series had 25, 28 points because he was knocking down every three. Everybody has elevated and has gone to a point where they are the best version of themselves. And their coach isn't even there on the sideline. Like, he's in crutches. Like, they're overcoming so much and they're performing at a high level. It's insane.
If you would have told me that Anthony Edwards would have shot 6 for 24 in this game, Mike Conley would have shot 3 for 10 in this game, Rudy Gobert 3 for 7 as a center, that's unbelievably trash, would have came in and shot that in Denver, and somehow Denver wins this game by 8-10 points, I would have looked at you in the face and called you a damn lie, especially knowing that Jamal Murray and Jokic both gave him about 35 points each. That is ridiculous, and it tells you two things. It tells you how trash Jokic's team is around him outside of like Jamal Murray. I don't think
I don't know. I wouldn't
a
say.
lot
I
of
wouldn't
people-
phrase, I wouldn't phrase it that way. I wouldn't phrase it that way.
they played like it.
Yeah, they got locked down
That's
for sure.
fair to say.
But
They
I think
played
it's
like
more
it.
about
And
the
I would
Timberwolves.
mostly go ahead and give the kudos to the Timberwolves and their game plan and how they were guarding Nikola Jokic, forcing him to go ahead and put up like 9-10 threes. That's almost unheard of. Like, he's super comfortable with doing it. He's never been throughout his career, he's been known as a very respectable 3-point shooter. But for him to take that many screens, just how shaken up Minnesota had Denver's offense. We haven't seen that before, ever, throughout the Jokic era that we're in right now.
Yeah, and it just can't. Donovan, you mentioned the depth thing. People like to underplay depth these days because at some point, some analysts pointed out that teams shorten the rotations in the playoffs. So all these NBA fans that are fans of teams with shitty depth are like, doesn't really matter. Your top 5 or 6 players got to win in the playoffs, so depth doesn't matter now. Absolute bullshit. Because whenever Michael Porter Jr. or KCP aren't making their shots, Peyton Watson wasn't playable in this series. Brown, as good as he is, isn't going to be that scoring punch. And Holiday is just Holiday, right? They don't have somebody that can replace that and give them an X factor off the bench, which matters because, like you said, they got Naz Reid, they got Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and that was the difference in this series. You know, there's a lot of Mo. I know you tweeted. What do the Nuggets do next in the offseason? You know, after this loss, and that was obviously the next talk on the timeline, right? It's like, what went wrong with this team? What's their flaw? Where do we go from here, right? What do we think about this team and their championship now that we know they couldn't repeat? I don't think right? I think it was just two great teams, one of which had advantages, the other one had advantages, one out executing the end, right? You came down to a Game 7 comeback. Simply two great teams, one has to win, and I think that's what we saw, is that one team ended up performing better on that day, which is all that really matters in a Game 7.
Yeah. And also, like, in the regular season, the Nuggets had a little bit of that. Reggie Jackson was solid. He was a solid, backup point guard. He was averaging 10 points a game, which is good for somebody coming off the bench. He averaged 3.5 in the playoffs.
Nice.
Right? He was shooting, I guess, for a backup, 43% from the field in the regular season. Shoots 33% from the field in the playoffs. Those 7 points are the difference in these matchups, because as we see all the time with stars, the number one thing that you talk about with them in the playoffs is, hey, they're actually a positive when they're on the court, but can the team survive non-Jokic minutes? Can the Timberwolves survive non-Anthony Edwards minutes? Can the Knicks survive, Brunson minutes, so on and so on? And if you don't have a bench that can either stay equal or minimize that damage to where if you're up 8 whenever Jokic goes out and then he comes back in and all of a sudden you guys are down 7 and now you have to make a run to get back into the game, that's not okay, and that's not a winning formula. It's the reason why the Sixers got bounced from the in the first round, because Embiid was dominating, right? He was dominating in the first 3 quarters. He also couldn't make stuff in the fourth quarter, but they were allowing the Knicks to stay in the game because they couldn't finish when he was off the floor. So yeah, that is priority number 1. Is they're going to have to find another bench guy to help that unit out.
That's true. You say they the Denver Nuggets just need to figure out a way to survive the non-Jokic minutes, which is like in general true just for every single team that's led by one of the best players in the NBA,
Mhm.
for sure. But in this game specifically, it's just in one of those scenarios where it's like it doesn't matter what you do because they're just simply better and they're built to go ahead and destroy you. There was no Jokic minutes that needed to be survived because he played like 47 minutes, barely sat, and the lead was smoked in the third
And that's
quarter
the
while he
problem. He
was
was
in
so
the
tired.
game. So it's like at that point in time, like you said, also Donovan, it falls back on the other guys, the Reggie Jacksons of the world, the Christian Bronze, who's like a really good player, talented player, but he's incredibly too passive. In year 3, you look for someone like him to go ahead and hit that next step in development. This is the reason why he was drafted, to replace the the Bruce Brown stuff that he did. I said Broom Brown's hilarious,
The Brook
but
Brown.
yeah, like you
Necklace
cannot
on bling
afford to
blow.
go ahead.
That
You
wrist
cannot
on Blizzo,
afford
baby.
to go ahead and just like put up duds across the board from 3 pivotal role players, bro. Especially when you have, a very suspect bench, which a lot of Nuggets fans called out before the season.
Yeah, it's not terribly shocking in that way. And yeah, I mean the problem you said there's not a lot of non-Jokic minutes. That's the problem, right? He had to play 47 minutes, and in the fourth quarter of this game, there was a lot of plays where he was not chasing down rebounds like he normally would. He was getting out hustled by Rudy Gobert, and they got in the bonus really early because he was drawing a lot of fouls on those rebounds where they were trying to force his way to get to it, and Gobert is just huge and got fouled because of it. Stuff like that is where you really saw that Jokic continued to score well going into the fourth quarter despite playing every fucking minute. But you saw he was tired, right? Like you can't play 47 minutes without being tired in the end. And everybody on the Wolves, they were fresh. They had a rotation going on. They could actually keep their legs under them. And that fourth quarter, you saw Jokic looked really aggressive. I thought it was really impressive seeing him go into like I gotta get a bucket mode. And they were like chipping away, but it just didn't matter because they were doing this aggressive defense, putting two on the ball, forcing Anthony Edwards to pass the ball, and that led to a lot of guys being open in the perimeter, crashing the boards. And we had 2 clutch putback dunks, one from Naz Reid, one from Cat. And that's just exactly the type of reasons of why you can look at this game and realize that this team was fresh. This team had hustle in the fourth quarter, and that was all the difference.
Absolutely.
I can't
Do
believe
you
that call.
know how demoralizing it is to have Rudy Gobert, the most feels like the best and the most clumsiest center in the entire NBA? Go ahead and hit a turnaround fading 2, heavily contested, smothered by Nikola Jokic, and have it cash go in, barely touch the net. That's demoralizing. That is
That's when you knew. You saw that and you're like, all right, they got it. Like
Now we can bullet.
it's over. If Rudy Gobert is hitting turnaround faders at the end of the buzzer, it's kind of done. And also, he really wasn't gonna make that because Jokic hits his hand on the jumper, and you can kind of see Rudy's hand like adjust. And it low-key felt like Jokic helped Rudy Gobert on that jumper by making contact with his hand and helped the ball go in. It was part of that was I look at game 7 and half of it, or not half of it, but like a good part, I'm like, all right, if that's gonna happen, maybe it was just predetermined, right? That the Wolves are gonna win this game. But then there's all the other reasons that we talk about where the bench depth, right? The hustle, all that type of stuff. And Anthony Edwards finding a way to still impact the team, still be able to be ready when his number is called,
Special.
on, and hit the dagger to fully ice the game to go up 10. They look complete. And right now, sportsbook wise, the Celtics are still the favorites. In the Final Four, I think everybody should be looking at Minnesota and think that they are the ones who are the hunters. They are the ones that everybody should be worried about.
Real quick, got some donos to read off. Shout out to Kevin Galicki for coming back in, donating $50. He said, let's fucking go. The Celtics are 100% winning it all now that Denver and the Knicks are done. Give Tatum and Brown their first ring. Also, Isaac, how did you not have one Celtic in your top 10? Listen. Do you guys think that the Celtics are going to get it now? Because we all said all year that Denver was the one reason we don't really feel strong about the Celtics because we didn't think they could stop Jokic. There's no Denver anymore.
Nah, the Boston Celtics win a ring. I might have to just like put in my 2 weeks on this pod and find your replacement because I can't do it. I couldn't survive on the internet if fucking Jason Tatum went. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, you have to feel very comfortable as a Celtics fan, of course, and confident. But at the end of the day, still like, bro, the Minnesota Timberwolves are incredibly good, and it's hard to envision an offense that could go ahead and counteract and like put up a chance against the Minnesota Timberwolves. But if anyone can, it's 110% has to be the Celtics.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, that's the case. But let's not speak too soon.
Shout out to Nick for tipping $5. He said, "Damn, I might get that Nas Reed tattoo as well." Listen, it's hard. I respect it.
You might have to. It's very clean, and
Yeah.
it's very clean. And we
Shout out
love
to
Nas
Elena
Reed.
for tipping $5. Said, "Isaac, how mad are you that the Serbian king lost?" Not happy about it. Wasn't excited, but now I slept on it. Now I'm like, okay, looking forward. I do think the Timberwolves have a pretty great chance of making the finals now. We're going to talk about the conference finals coming up after we talk about one more series. This team is good. So, like, I was rooting against them for fun to talk, just talk
It's
shit.
not
and,
for
like,
fun. We're starting race wars over here.
race wars. No. It was fun to, like, root against them and want them to lose so badly. But they're a great fucking team. Like, it is kind of crazy that they blew such a bad lead and nobody's like, oh my God, what a choke job. But I think it just goes to show the Timberwolves, it wasn't the Nuggets choking. Well, to some extent, they weren't making shots. But we saw a team that just like wanted it more and defended, out executed, and stole the win rather than the Nuggets losing it, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, bro, what are you supposed to do when Jaden McDaniels is out here like playing the elite defense that he's already like known to do, and also at the same time put up 21 or 20 points on the other end and smack 3 threes in your face as well, making clutch play after clutch play. And then Anthony Edwards, like, although he wasn't spectacular on the offensive end, like he made a pre-dagger in the third quarter. At the end of the third quarter, hit a tough 3-pointer at the left wing. I forget whose face, probably Aaron Gordon or some shit like that. And then he hit another 3 to really seal the deal. That was an assist, I believe, off of Nas Reed at the corner. Like, he just having that superstar to just help, like, shut shit down whenever you feel the lead, feeling a little bit shaky. And also, like, something else, too, that's so hilarious that would have, like, then it would have exploded if the Minnesota Timberwolves found a way to lose. You guys remember that play when Karl-Anthony Towns, he was trying to throw in the ball, and I think he threw it just like right straight up out of bounds or whatever? Ridiculous, bro. They have the greatest insurance for Karl-Anthony Towns ever, and that is called Nas Reed, bro. Everyone needs that type of insurance in their life.
Everybody needs a six man like that. Shout out to Kevin Glucky for once again donating $60 this time. He said, the reason you all hate the Celtics is because we've been dogging your favorite team since there were whites-only restaurants. Yeah.
All right.
How much have they been dogging the last 40 years? I don't think they haven't done much since those restaurants gone away. Exactly one ring since then.
As soon as other people began to drink from the water fountain, you couldn't win anymore.
How many rings do they have post Jackie Robinson?
Ooh.
Nowhere near 17, I'll tell you that. Donovan's all fucking frozen. Look at this trash ass internet. Look at him go. Look at him not moving. Bozo.
Yeah, no, that is hilarious, bro.
Chat spam L internet. Look at Donovan's frozen ass.
You're screaming him because his Wi-Fi.
Look at him go.
There you go.
It's working out. Let me disconnect him.
Oh, bro. He's back, I think. There we go.
There he is. He's back. W
he at?
internet.
They were kidding you, dude. They said you got McDonald's Wi-Fi.
I'm sorry.
It happens to the best of us.
I guess I do.
You just gotta be better. It's fine. Chat, we're at 448 likes. Spam it up for us. Can we get to 1,000 before we get to the conference finals previews? Maybe. We got one more series to talk about.
We have to. Come on, man.
We got one more series to talk about, and that is the Dallas Mavericks beating the Oklahoma City Thunder in 6 games, which was, like this game, an incredible finish. It felt like Game 7, but it was obviously the force in Game 7. But the way it was going back and forth, and before the series, I said this series is like too close to call. I thought it was going 7. I was like, I lean Thunder because Luka's not fully healthy and Max Kleber isn't there, but I don't feel good about it. But it's going 7. It didn't go 7 because the fucking Dallas Mavericks did something. They hit up the Miami Heat. They hit up Pat Riley and said, whatever you got, whatever you gave to Gabe Vincent, whatever you gave to Max Strus, all these guys to get them to turn into gods come playoff time, give PJ Washington all of it. And he got it all, and he became a star and won them 2 games with great three-point shooting, great defense, a clutch putback layup. He was everything, and he was a huge deciding factor for the series.
I was so hurt watching this game.
It was
I was
incredible. It was incredible.
it really was. The last 4 or 5 minutes was awesome. Everybody was going back and forth. And it looked like the Mavs were going to self-destruct. They had like a stupid foul that let the Thunder get a free throw. It looked like Shea was gonna pull it off. He was hitting clutch shot after clutch shot. And I mean, listen, Luka did what Luka does. Yo, man, this guy Luka is crazy. I'll say this so everybody knows. I personally am not a massive Luka guy, but he is undeniable in his greatness.
What do you mean you're not a Luka guy? What does that mean?
I'm not a fan of his. Like if I was 15 and I had posters of like my favorite players, I would not have a Luka poster on my wall.
Okay.
Right. But I mean, what? Just because I don't like him, that doesn't mean that he's not dropping 30, 10, and 10 every other game. He's still crazy. He's still dangerous. But also, no, I love Jokic. Jokic is fire. So like we're not playing like exactly. Yeah. We're
Some
not
of the chat. Dave made in the chat said Donovan doesn't like Jokic or Luka. Yeah, he's racist.
No, I like Jokic a lot. But no, man, like the foul on Shea. So now that we've had time to think about it, how do you guys feel about it? Because obviously, like he shouldn't have jumped, but like I don't know, like
he fouled him. I don't know.
He admitted it to himself. Like this is a stupid foul.
On a scale of 1 to 10, like how dumb would you rate that play from Shea? Like how much of a mental?
Fucking very. It lost him the game. Fucking very dumb.
I mean, he tried. So I wouldn't say.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, yeah.
That's okay.
But he tried. Like he did what he was supposed to do. But at the end of the day, like it's just one of those. Huh?
Some rattling.
Yeah.
Is that me?
No.
Is that you? I don't know who that is. It's all good.
Yeah, I have no idea. But regardless of the fact, though, like I think you were talking about it actually at dinner, Donovan, that night. You literally were so mad at watching PJ Tucker just go off. I think that entirety of the game, he wasn't going off at it. He wasn't doing much at all until the fourth quarter. I believe he finished that game with like 7 or 9 points or something obscure like that. And having your role players like him just show up and answer the door when it needs to be answered on a consistent basis just means so much. And when I read this game, like kudos to OKC, they did their thing. I never had them going to the Western Conference Finals because of side issues or whatever and youth, which like both did show at times throughout the series. But they did what they were supposed to do. You can't be too upset. There's nothing surprising or shocking that scream to you, oh my God, this is the issue, or X, Y, or Z player is not built for the moment. Like there's no new information that you got from that series from the Oklahoma City Thunder. Other than the only real thing you can, what are you gonna say?
J-Dub has to get better. We talked about that in the last episode. J-Dub wasn't regular season J-Dub. Yeah, he has to improve. There is something to they need another big. That's overblown as like the one deciding factor. Because, they clearly are making the trade-off to be smaller, agile, faster, better shooting in place of size and rebounding. Some of that is a thing, right? But, it would be nice if they had somebody besides Jalen Williams in those minutes where Chet sits. But the biggest thing is they need a big forward. I think that's a true thing we see from them. They need their version of PJ Washington, their version of Aaron Gordon, whatever that may be. A little bit more size in the wing specifically. Because they are too small, but I don't think it's necessarily because they need a Andre Drummond type. But they need more size there defensively. That puts a little bit less pressure on Chet Holmgren down low.
Size, absolutely. I agree. In my mind, it really doesn't matter where you place it. You just need it somewhere because trading for Aaron Gordon and getting rid of a pretty nice player like Terrence Mann and having Gordon Hayward go ahead and play 46 minutes throughout the entirety of the playoffs and put up like 0 points or whatever it's fucking crazy.
I think Gordon Hayward's ass has the nerve to go to the media and complain about his role and complain that he thought he would get a little bit more than what he was brought there for. If this motherfucker was doing cardio, he got a lot of minutes. He didn't score a lot of points. And eventually those minutes went down. I wonder fucking why. It would have been real nice for him to do well in that series. I'm sure that the front office OKC wanted the same thing from him. It was hilarious to see that quote after the game.
The Thunder had a legitimate hole at their 3 spot. Everybody has been saying for months that Josh Giddey is going to be unplayable in the playoffs. And they said, Gordon Hayward, do you want a chance to be playable? Right? Do you want an opportunity? We have guys on our team. They had Isaiah Joe. They had Casey Wallace. They had options that they realistically could have said in the moment, you know what, we're going to replace Josh Giddey with one of the guys in-house. But they called Gordon Hayward and said, nah, the job is yours. And you, sir, played like the bum. You, sir, could not play on the floor when the bar is being better than Josh Giddey. Come on now. Come on now.
So that's the thing. We knew the Josh Giddey thing would happen. It was the most predictable issue ever that was entirely because of politics. Whatever it may be, maybe they want to preserve his value, want to preserve the rotation, instill confidence in him, so hopefully they can get something out of him. Whatever the mysterious fucking reason is for him to continue starting games, it was very predictable from the jump that this would be an issue. I think the unpredictable thing that came out of this, well, let me know what you guys think. You can let me know if this is unpredictable or not. They went from being the best 3-point shooting team in the league to having a lot of guys not shoot as well. And that was kind of their downfall in the end, right? They played their style of game for better or worse, and that style is very predicated on them being an elite 3-point shooting team with their drive and kick stuff. The drives weren't driving like they were before. The kicks weren't kicking. Like, hey, do you guys think it was some kind of small sample size, or do you think this is because of the Dallas Mavericks defense being so good? Because I think it might be the latter.
Both. I think actually a little bit of both. It's so weird to say out loud, but I think Jason Kidd out coached Mark Dagnall, the coach of the year, and it's so awkward to say that.
Oh yeah,
and it's like kind of wasn't even close considering like the whole Josh Giddey stuff, inexcusable completely considering like the outcomes that would happen or whatever. But when I do see this, seeing how they got outplayed does like cause you to raise some questions and whatnot. But I just solely believe like if you're the second best player on the team, which a lot of people assume is J-Dub, if he goes ahead and he plays like his normal self and scores in a variety of ways that we know he can, whether it be like maybe he needs to be utilize his size a little bit more and be in the post and whatnot or whatever, or add whatever else tools in his bag other than just strictly trying to go downhill. Like if he is his normal self, or at least like next season works on these other holes and minor flaws in his game, I think their play style would lead me to believe that they're just fine. I do think they would like a little bit of variance would help, of course, but I don't think their play style necessarily is a real issue for me.
Yeah, I think their play style isn't an issue, but yeah, variance is what they need. They're so predicated on Shea and J-Dub drives and kickouts. And the Mavs defense did a great job having the perimeter defenders play up tight, run them off the line with PJ Washington and Derek Jones, who were incredible. And you got Derek Lively back there locking the paint down. He was incredible on both sides of the ball. It was just a really well-executed scheme. Like, shout out Jason Kidd. Most of the time, he's kind of ass, but he coached his ass off in this series. Really, this whole run. Since the deadline, he's constructed an elite defense. They've done extremely well. We've criticized him in the past for doing this aggressive defensive approach, and it hasn't worked many times. It seems like it's the personnel, whether he has it or he doesn't, and maybe that's a flaw, is that when he doesn't have it, he doesn't adjust well. But goddamn it, he has it right now, and it's working excellently, just like it did a few years ago when they made the conference finals. Have an elite defense, then you have Luke and Kyrie to close the game. It's a winning formula. Especially, dude, Derek Lively is so good. Like, that man is going to be incredible.
Let's talk about it.
We were at dinner a couple other night when we were watching this game when we were in Chicago, and I asked Donovan, I was like, can he be an all-star one day? Like, what's his ceiling? Like, is he just the new age DeAndre Jordan? Like, he's a rookie, and he's this good, this disciplined, this good of a passer. Everything about him is so far beyond his years. They were like plus 48 with him on the court and like minus 40 with Daniel Gafford. It was such a gigantic difference in defensive presence.
Yeah, and he's playing with Luka, who's going to elevate him even further. Like, you're going to be able to get all the shine in the world if you just come in and play your role. But I'm trying not to have this come off as hate. Yo, PJ Washington turned into Steph Curry. Like and it's not even from like regular season and playoffs. He sucked in the first round. PJ Washington shot 31% from 3 in the first round against the Clippers and shot 47% from downtown against the Thunder. If you are going to shoot nearly 20% better than you do all the time since he got to Dallas. He shot 31%. Like, I'm very curious to see against the Timberwolves, is he going to be able to knock down shots? Because if he is, then I think that everything we're talking about Dallas is going to make sense. If he is not, and they have to figure out another way to create offense and to get those like very timely threes, then I do think that Minnesota has kind of like a wide open path. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But also like Luka is going to be the best player in the series coming in, so that's also like a massive equalizer.
I mean, he's the best player in the series, but he's not healthy. Has he been better than
That's
that
also
in this
fair.
playoff run? Like, that's okay. So
Probably
let's
not.
transition this.
Yeah, probably not.
Let's transition this. Let's get into the conference finals. Let's preview them, and we can start with the West since we're already on the topic. I'll say this first. I'm picking Timberwolves in 6 games. And I thought about this all night. I decided this morning. I really believe in the Mavs for all the reasons we talked about, right? Why they're able to expose the Thunder and all this stuff. Luka's not healthy yet. He did great this game. The consistency hasn't been there quite as much with the scoring and the efficiency there, just because we know every fucking muscle in his body is slowly being torn apart, shred by shred. He's hurt everywhere. Maxi Kleber isn't there. Losing some versatility in their lineup combinations there. He's been really big there. Daniel Gafford's been pretty terrible in terms of on-off numbers and how he's been able to impact the game. They need Maxi Kleber's presence there to be able to deal with the size of the Minnesota Timberwolves and be able to outshoot them. I don't know if he's going to come back or not. Let's assume not. They beat the Timberwolves. They beat the Thunder because they were bigger than them and asserted it down low and out-physical them. You are not going to be bigger, stronger, or more physical than the Minnesota Timberwolves. If Luka's not healthy, having Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels and Nickeil Alexander-Walker breathing down his throat, not great. You saw Kyrie Irving didn't look great in the series because he was in the torture chamber among all the other good perimeter defenders there. Anthony Edwards defends him well. I don't know what advantages they have outside of Luka turning into a god or PJ Washington turning into Clay.
I mean, high level, I agree with you. I would personally lean the Minnesota Timberwolves just because the only advantage that you have is that you have right now, in my opinion, the best player now in the NBA, still in the playoffs. But him not being at 100% hurts, and seeing the demons that they could unleash towards Luka Doncic, whether it be like a Jaden McDaniels or Anthony Edwards, or whether it be Nickeil Alexander-Walker off the bench. Like, there's just so much he has to overcome. If you thought he and Kyrie were given hell by the Oklahoma City Thunder, you thought the Minnesota Timberwolves are an entirely different beast. Now, what sucks about this series and what makes it so interesting is that we haven't seen this new iteration of the Dallas Mavericks play this Minnesota Timberwolves team. Like, all 3 or 4 times they played throughout the regular season, don't even pay no goddamn mind to those matchups because Luka hasn't played in some of them. Jaden Hardy was playing in some of them as well. Like, it's just, there's no real reference. And the only reference that you can make out of this series is seeing what they've done in the past. And like you said, Isaac, I agree with you. Like, you can't out physical the Minnesota Timberwolves. And on the Timberwolves side of things, like, they're just perfect. This is the perfect NBA defense right now as we speak. And you have a superstar like Anthony Edwards who, clear as day, can respond to every moment. I'm gonna lean the Minnesota Timberwolves.
The thing is, 6. I guess the Mavs, they have in the league defense as well, so they can go defense to defense with them, right? We believe the Timberwolves have a stronger defense for all obvious reasons, but the Mavs are no slouch there. I guess it comes down to, do you believe they can outshoot them enough and spread out the Timberwolves enough that they can make them pay more than the Nuggets did? Because the Nuggets are a really interior passing type of team, right? We know about the Jokic to Aaron Gordon lobs, and the shooters of the Nuggets weren't shooting very well, being KCP and Michael Porter Jr. I guess the way you could give the Mavs some credit is if those perimeter shooters, and Derek Jones Jr., Tim Hardaway, Kyrie, PJ Washington, all these guys, can really be firing from 3, that's a little bit of a different, geometry question that you put on the Timberwolves that the Nuggets couldn't really do. Do you see that happening?
No, I don't. It's hard. Because I want to give Dallas credit for everything that they've done, and sometimes people just get hot and they start they just go on a crazy streak. So maybe we're in the middle of that for PJ Washington, and he's going to keep going crazy. But for everything that you said, I thought that the main weakness for like the main two things for the Thunder that got exposed were the fact that Dallas could, go big and be able to finish possessions and get rebounds and be more physical at the rim than them. And the Josh Giddey thing. Minnesota doesn't have a Josh Giddey, right? They're able to put 2 7-footers out on the floor all the time. I think
sometimes 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm also picking Minnesota. This is bad. Because we're all on the same page. I have Minnesota in 6. I just don't see. Yeah, I just don't see Dallas replicating it against this defense that a week and a half ago everyone was like, "This is the 2004 Pistons. This is one of the best defenses we've ever seen." Yeah, they still are one of the best defenses in the last 5-10 years, and they lost 3 straight. Guess what? That's because Nikola Jokic was on the other side. And as great as Luka is, him right now is not Nikola Jokic.
The Mavs fans are crying in the comments. Yo,
I didn't know there were that many Mavs fans too.
Oh, there's a lot. One, Dallas, is a big market. People sleep on the fact the top 5 biggest market. Plus, the European fans are huge as a whole country. Mavs have a lot of fans. And to all y'all crying in the chat, shut up. We don't hate the Mavs. They're very good. We're not sleeping on them. It's just 2 great teams. Somebody has to win. Like, both these teams are fantastic. Should be here. They both belong to be here. It's not a disservice to the Mavs. No one thinks they're trash. We're saying it's going to be 6. I could even see it going 7. It's just, when 2 great teams play, only one can win. It's not going to be a blowout by any means.
One way
also, I will say I have several friends from Dallas. I do want them to be unhappy. I'm rooted for Minnesota because of that.
He is actively playing on their downfall.
100%. The Rangers just won the World Series. Dallas cannot have, as somebody who is from Houston, that Dallas cannot have this much success in one calendar year. I can't see it.
Yeah, I do think the shooting could be a big difference. It really comes down to that shooting level, which I think the Mavericks are. I believe they'll shoot well, so that's why I think it'll be a hard-fought series. And I think Kyrie's also a big swing factor. I think Clippers Kyrie was godly, and if that comes out and he can really force the defense to stretch out with his off-the-dribble threes, that can be a big difference. But I feel safe assuming that he's going to struggle with Anthony Edwards and Nickeil Alexander-Walker as his primary defenders. Not safe assuming he's going to struggle, so let me not say that, but I find it very likely that could be a big issue for them. And Jay McDaniels is as good as a Luka defender as you're going to find, right?
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if I think I was listening to Low Post, and he mentioned that, listen, if you started with possession with Ant on Kyrie and Jaden McDaniels on Luka, and you run an inverted pick and roll, do the 2-man action that Luka and Kyrie like to do, they switch that, and you still got an elite defender on both of your guards. That's tough. And the same way, you have PJ Washington and Derrick Jones Jr. that can give Ant hell. Whichever team's elite defenders can really slow down the team stars is going to be a big deciding factor of the series.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So in the 2 games that Kyrie has played against the Minnesota Timberwolves,
there's some Kyrie dick riders in the chat right now.
Well, let me go ahead and back those eaters up because he did put up 35 and 36, which is impressive.
Great.
Yeah, great. But at the same time, like, there's just so much that's changed since then. That was so long ago, bro. That was like in December and also in January. And I would say this Mavs team is obviously different and they thrive in so many different ways. But this Timberwolves team is also different. Well, so man, that's why I'm picking the Timberwolves.
So statistically speaking, in the playoffs, Mavs has a better defense and better second chance point conversions. So I have no clue how you overhype this Minnesota defense. Bias takes. To think that we are biased towards the Timberwolves is hilarious. You must have just started hearing about us today. If anything, we've been biased against the Timberwolves for 9 months. That's hilarious.
Longer than that.
Longer
a year
than
and
that.
a half.
In 18 months.
A year and a half. They were the 1 seed. They were the 1 seed early on in the year, even halfway into the year. And I was like, please lose 10 games in a row. I need my pick to be right. Like, I have been waiting for them to be exposed, and it just hasn't happened. And so maybe at a certain point, you're just like, hey, this team is actually really good. Everything that they thought that they were last year, and they didn't necessarily get a chance to prove it because people were hurt. Maybe that's who they should have been the entire time. And this is everything that you have on top of Anthony Edwards ascending into the upper echelon of NBA players. That's what's happening right now.
Yeah, I think the Timberwolves will win. I don't think I feel quite as confident about it as you guys do. I'm not going to be horribly shocked
We
if
all,
the Mavs win,
we
but
all we all pick Wolves in 6.
yeah, but I'm like, I think that, but I also we'll obviously we learn a lot about game 1 and 2 like we always do.
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely see where the Mavs win, so I'm not out here like they're cooked. You know who I am saying is cooked? Who I do feel very confident about? The Indiana Pacers are getting beaten 5. The Celtics are going to blow their fucking doors off. I think there's been a lot of rush to say like, oh, the Celtics are actually frauds. They're maybe the Pacers can give them some trouble. I think they will blitz them and beat the fuck out of them. I will be so shocked if the series goes 7.
7, yes, I will be shocked. This series is going 6 games.
I can see 6 because KP's out. I'm gonna go Celtics in 5, but if KP misses extended time, that can very well be 6. You know, it's a small margin for error. But yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, I honestly want to. If it's not going to be a sweep, not going to be a sweep. That's kind of crazy. It should be in 5 games. The Boston Celtics have been prone to lose the second game of every single series so far, and I think it's fair to believe that they'll go ahead and let one slip by again, just like
Yeah.
any old regular team would, you know. But I think they're going to handle their business. I don't imagine a world in where the Indiana Pacers and Tyrese Halliburton can find enough offense within himself in such different ways and just adding that much variance into his game so quickly. It's just not his season, not their time just yet. So yeah.
Yeah, I think
So
Celtics in 5 if KP misses 2 games. If it's extended, he misses like 4 or 5, maybe the whole series. Then I can understand Celtics in 6. But I think it won't be that hard.
I think, listen, the Celtics should win in 5 games. However, we've seen over the last 2 years, whatever you think the Celtics are going to do, give them an extra loss and then they'll get it done. Right. So I think that they should win in 5, which means that they're going to give up 2 games and they'll win in 6. I think that Indiana also.
Celtics math right there.
Yeah, it's Celtics, and also like their play style, like them going up and down, they showed not only in Game 7 but in Game 4. If we're going up and down and we're shooting threes all day long, the Pacers do have the capability of getting hot as well. And so what we've seen 4-2 series where the Heat set a franchise record, right? Or the Celtics go cold in Game 2 against the Cavs. That 100% can happen. And I think that with Tyrese Halliburton starting to get back to where he was, he's looking more aggressive as a scorer. I think Indiana can win 2 games.
Okay. First off, let me read some donations real quick. Shout out to Zach Carlson for tipping $1. Appreciate you. Shout out to Elena for tipping another $1. She said, we were horrible for 20 years. How can you be biased for us? True.
Exactly.
Shout out to Sick Harlow for donating $5. He asked, why was John Stockton not on the Mount Rushmore of point guards? Oh, real quick, let me address this shit. We get so many comments and shorts telling us you disrespect John Stockton. We don't know ball because we underrate them. Yada, yada, yada. John Stockton is so fucking overrated. I don't know. Okay, I do understand why. Assist record, steals record. People see that. And like, he's a GOAT. He's underrated. No, he is not. That is a longevity merchant. That man is a nasty man merchant. I almost said the name. He is great. Did a lot of good things. Obviously not the scoring punch that many of the other top point guards of all time are. Defender, he is a good playmaker, good steals guy. You know goddamn well he's not as strong as a defender, as a truly elite defender given his size. And his passing, obviously being great, is not so good that it makes up for the scoring advantage that some other point guards have above him. So to think that he's like a lock top 3 point guard of all time because, he played for 20 years and has a lot of assists, shut up. Shut the fuck up, please.
I don't understand why John Stockton has so many eaters like out there.
You know
I mean,
exactly
I understand
why.
it. I get it. And you gotta give him kudos. You gotta give him kudos. You gotta give him props. He was the savior for a lot of Utah kids back then growing up, and he was also like on top of like he could make some solid passes back then or whatever, and he was like
solid passes.
Yeah, and he was. Let's keep it real. He was a longevity merchant, but it's great. Not a lot of NBA players could play on a consistent level up until age like 39 or 40 or however old he was, and also he was a pretty good decent shooter as well. But at the same time, I can name so many point guards that I can slap in that air and tell him to do exactly what John Stockton did, and they would do that with absolute ease.
Steve Nash better.
Ease.
Steve Nash better.
Oh, is that a real conversation?
Someone in the chat, yeah, people are talking about in the chat right now. Steve Nash is so much better.
It's not close. It's literally not close at all.
Yeah, and I get it. If somebody's saying I hate box score watchers, it transcends box score watchers. It's like just like raw number watchers because it's not even necessarily an impressive box score. It's just like a large number over a large year.
It's totals.
Yeah,
It's a
totals.
watch.
Total score watchers? Get out of here. What are we talking about? Anyways, back to, let me see, did I miss any more donations real quick before we move on? We missed a Kevin Glicky $48 bomb. Sorry, Kevin. Another 40 from him. He said,
my God, it's okay,
Celtics propaganda, whatever. A non-tip $10. He said he stands with Kevin G and his Celtics propaganda. Appreciate you, Anon. Put your name on it next time. Shout out to Space Jesus for tipping $4.34. And shout out to Nick. You keep tipping $1. I'm not reading it. Fuck off. He knows what he said. Back to Celtics versus Pacers. Mo, what do you think? I don't think you got to get your piece in. What do you think?
No, this series is going to be over in like 5, absolute max 6. This is a good series for Jason Tatum to go ahead and continue to get his reps in, own this series, show everyone why you are a top 5 player, like many people believe him to be. Do I believe it? No, but like what?
Someone said just hopped in the stream. The first thing they're talking about is John Stockton in all caps. That's gross.
The craziest shit ever, bro. We gotta cut this out afterwards.
No, we don't. We gotta stop talking about John fucking Stockton. His crazy ass. He's insane.
That is disgusting. He's absolutely
keep
right,
going.
bro. But nah, like I was saying, just keeping it short. This is gonna be a great series for Tatum. Al Horford at times is gonna be overtaxed because Pascal Siakam and Miles Turner is genuinely just a lot to deal with for someone his age, and they don't have as many bodies up front. And so, yeah, this has to be an elite Tatum series. And if it is an elite Tatum series, this is going to be over in 5, easy.
I don't even think it has to be. I think the Pacers beat the Knicks because they had more offensive firepower because we know all the Knicks died, RIP, and they were run them up and down the court, beat them with speed, numbers, just making the most, having the better 3-point variance, everything, playing Pacers basketball. And against most teams, that gives them an advantage. They were the top 2 or 3 offense for the entire season. The Celtics are top 1. They also play like that. They also have the same style, have a better star leading it, have a better supporting cast leading it, and they happen to have a top 3 defense while the Pacers are mid at best. I think the Pacers have success because they play their way, and most teams fall victim to that over time, can chip away. Celtics can play your way and be so much better at it than you. I think it can be another series where Jason Tatum has a casual 22 points per game and everyone's like, oh, he's getting carried. And it doesn't matter because they just are better in every way.
Such a Mickey Mouse series.
It's going to be the easiest path to the playoffs that the Celtics could ever imagine. And listen, it's not their fault. They play who's in front of them, but it's going to be a breeze, I think.
It's not close, man.
They better wrap it up easy, man. Don't give people the opportunity to play with you. I hope that after 2 rounds, they come in locked in. And I really do hope I will be rooting for them. If they win game 1, I will be rooting for them in game 2 because I want to see this team be at home and take care of business. I want to see it happen.
Yeah. Kevin Glucki donated another $70. He said, will you ever do more episodes a week? Also, you can't silence the proud Celtics fans. I will try my hardest to silence you guys. But, I mean, this is basically the second episode a week, right? Like, we treat the streams like it's the second episode, so we're kind of at like 2 a week. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. We obviously talked about doing 2 episodes a week plenty of times before, but this just feels like a good mix and balance between the both of them. Streams are a different feel, but obviously, like, we cover the same stuff just in different ways.
Yeah. And I like that. I like having 1 episode a week and kind of like making you guys want more. I don't like when people like oversaturate it too much. It's spam content because like at least people I watch, if it's too much to keep up with, it makes me want to keep up with it less. Whereas shows that are once a week, I'm like, oh, me look forward to the next episode. Kind of want to keep that.
Yeah, exactly. We like to drive you crazy. Can you imagine? You know what they want? They just want 2 TikTok times a week. And we even talked about that before, y'all. It's not happening.
Yeah, I thought about it. Yeah, I can't give you too much of a good thing. That's no longer that good.
Exactly.
But okay, no, let's listen. We know the Celtics are winning the series. We don't know who's winning the Western Conference. Let's look forward to different finals matchups. Let's talk about that before we get out of here. Okay. Do you think the Timberwolves can beat the Celtics?
Yes, I think they can beat them.
Why?
Well, first I'll say I think anybody can beat anybody in the Final Four outside of
Except for
the
the
Pacers.
Indiana.
Yeah, outside of the Pacers. But like the top three, you can do roulette out of all that.
I 100% agree.
Yes, we got debate of the day coming. I see the comments. It's coming. Trust me.
Yes. So, so I think Minnesota can beat Boston because the same reason why they can beat Dallas. They have these insane perimeter defenders. They have these twin towers that can dominate down low and really force Boston to kind of pick a style to play with and limit their versatility, which is how they dominate a whole bunch of people. They're able to go with all of these looks and do a whole bunch of different things, whereas certain teams can only do one thing at a time. Boston can really do it all. But I think that Minnesota is perfectly equipped to match all of that. And if Anthony Edwards and Jason Tatum is kind of, the level of Jason Tatum that we've been seeing and doesn't match him, if they don't go band for band, I can see Minnesota winning the series.
Yeah. I think it would come down to, does this size mismatch and size advantage that we've seen disrupt a lot of other teams, does it disrupt Boston like that? Does Boston start Al Horford and KP together? Do they try to match it? It would just be, are we going to be surprised by the type of advantages that are created there that we didn't see coming? That could be a deciding factor. But I feel like if both play their game and go as we expect on paper, it's hard for me to not pick Boston, given everything we've said about them all year, right? Like they're so dominant that we kind of take it for granted.
100%.
Yeah, it would make, logically to me, it would just make more sense to lean towards the Celtics way because, like, imagine Karl Anthony Towns. Like, he did an okay job guarding Kevin Durant last series. It wasn't like anything spectacular or world moving. Like, he just did a solid thumbs up. But then having gone from that to ask him to guard Jason Tatum and being switched on to Jaylen Brown and shit like that, like, I don't know. That makes me a little bit uncomfortable. But with that being said, like, Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns, just the size overall that they can lean towards at all times of the game is very discomforting because there's going to be times where, like, Al Horford or Kristaps Porzingis goes ahead and gets into foul trouble, and you're going to have to be calling on Luke Cornett off of the bench or Sam Hauser or something like that. That is very, very nasty, and that is an absolute nightmare, and that is why a lot of Celtics fans and maybe even us, like in the past, would be like, yo, if there's one thing that the Celtics could use, it's a physical center just to call off the bench here and there once in a while, similar to, like, a Rob Williams, which they gave away. That's the only instance where I'm like, okay, like they might actually be.
Epic Gaming Plays in the chat. I guess you missed his donation. He said, you haven't talked about the fact that Jokic hasn't won against a 50-plus win team. That's because that is stupid. And because the 2020 season was shortened and the Clippers never got to 50 wins because nobody did really because the season got shortened, but they obviously would have been a 50-win team. So it's a funny talking point for jokes on Twitter, but it's not anything actually, like, substantial.
People who something that I realized, like, I've always known, like, basketball, the NBA specifically, is such a fun sport to talk about because there's so much more than the actual, like, things on the court that happens. We all like to get our narratives off, and of course it's fun, but to see how quickly some of these people jump into this narrative talk is disgusting nowadays because a lot of it doesn't even make any sense and it's literally not fun.
What a weird. Who's ever talked about 50-win teams as like a parameter of how tough things are? Like, who gives a shit?
If you're gonna hate, get back in the hating lab and be better at fucking hating. I know. This is disgusting. Like, you're gonna hate, do it right.
There's so much funnier stuff you could do than a random 50-win arbitrary number.
Yeah, it means absolutely nothing trying to minimize his wins like that. Like, get the fuck out of here. That makes no sense. Ugh.
Okay, so the Timberwolves, you guys think have a chance. I feel like the Mavs have a better chance to get the Celtics than they do the Timberwolves. I feel like the Mavs match up a little bit better there. Do you see that as a thing?
I would agree.
Yeah,
I would agree to that for sure. Simply because, like, Derek Lively and PJ Washington are more. Actually, I don't know. Actually, now that I think about it,
I feel like the Celtics might just win the finals. I don't know. I feel like we're dancing around it.
No,
I think the Celtics will win the finals. I'm sorry. I think we're there.
They should,
Yeah.
right? I picked them at the start of the year to win the title. I need to see it. I'm still at a point with the Celtics where I think that you guys should do it, right? You obviously have all the talent. Not sure if everybody's going to rise to the occasion and it's all going to click at one time. But on paper, they should.
We treat them like they have the expectations of the 96 Bulls. Every time they lose one game, we're like, oh, the sky's falling. Like, they've just been so good all year. And I know past years, different things have happened. But this year, obviously, with KP, with Drew Holiday. And they did nothing but be amazing. I know that we do have a track record of knowing how these guys play in the playoffs, so it's not nothing. But I just feel like all year we said, we pointed to the Nuggets as the one reason why they aren't going to win the championship. And now they're out of the paint. It's like, I don't know what to say anymore. I do think the Timberwolves.
You said the truth.
If the Timberwolves can beat the Nuggets, they can beat the Celtics. So clearly they have a chance, right? It's not like it's cooked. The Celtics are going to breeze the way through. That'll be a tough series because they clearly are better than we all expected. Mm-hmm. But I feel like I'd be disingenuous if I didn't say the Celtics should be number one right now.
I think you're absolutely right. Like, the Celtics should win the NBA championship. It makes 110% sense that they would go ahead and do such things. But at the same time, you're right. Like, we do put too high expectations on them, treat them like they're the 96 Bulls or 17 Warriors or whatever. But at the same time, like, the decision making has been a consistent issue throughout this new era Celtics that we've seen and been a part of, you know? And this, we don't see or have any of those issues when it comes to the Dallas Mavericks because they have the best, arguably the best, second best decision maker in the NBA, and Luka Doncic, also Kyrie Irving too. And then the Timberwolves have guys like Mike Conley and Anthony Edwards, who's matured in so many different ways on the court when it comes to decision making and shit like that too. So I think those are real things that I have in my mind that may cause me not to pick the Celtics. But logically speaking, the Celtics have every advantage. They should have every advantage. Yeah, it just makes sense.
All right, Donovan, what is our debate of the day? Before we get out of here, what's the debate of the day?
I have two things. One is half a debate, except I just don't care about what the other side has to say.
I love that.
Front running, the idea of like somebody being a front runner, 95% of you have no idea what you're talking about whenever you say that guy's a front runner. And you don't actually want somebody to be the person that is not a front runner. I have a picture to show you my proof. This is Austin Eckler celebrating when his team is down 63-7. And Austin Eckler gets clowned all the time because he celebrated down 56, the complete opposite of a front runner. And everyone's like, oh, look how stupid. Look at the scoreboard. For all the stuff that everybody was giving Tyrese Halliburton, what did you want him to do? Do you want people to just be smiling and just be like, oh, haha, everything's good, you suck? And then you're like, yeah, but look, you're down 20. Like, what do you actually mean when you say front runner, and what do you actually want?
You're actually so stupid. Fucking glad you said this.
Before you answer that fully, Isaac, what is a front runner? And then get into your thought. I'm asking you a question. What is a front runner?
A front runner is somebody who only talks shit when they're up, or somebody who is very loud when they're up and quiet when they're down. In itself, a stupid fucking concept. Why would you not be louder when you're winning? Why do people... Okay, so here's the thing. For a lot of years, people said that the new modern NBA is soft. Nobody talks shit anymore. Everybody wants to be friends. There's no rivalries, none of this. And they pointed to, like, in the 90s, Michael Jordan would never be best friends with so-and-so. Like we see these guys be friends off the court, right? That was the talking point for a long time. But now when people talk shit, when Devin Booker talks shit, you're like, oh, get this annoying motherfucker out of here. When Tyrese Halliburton talks shit, get this annoying motherfucker out of here. Y'all don't want people to talk shit. Nobody wants it anymore. We are a culture that does not want it at all. And people pretend they do. They don't. When they do it when they're winning, they're front runners, which is a ridiculous concept in and of itself. When they do it when they're down, they're loud and need to check the scoreboard like Donovan said. Mm-hmm. It really comes down to, do you like a player or do you not? If you do like them, you will be okay with it. If you don't like them, you'll find a reason and a name to call them to make it so they shouldn't be allowed to talk shit.
Example, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton. Anthony Edwards has been talking the entire playoffs, and everyone's like, He's Michael Jordan. Look at his aura. It's just off the chart. Oh my goodness. Exactly. This is what the league needs. And then Tyrese Halliburton goes into Madison Square Garden in honestly the loudest I've ever heard that building. And they run the Knicks off the floor. He has an amazing game. The shots he was making yesterday was crazy. And he's silencing the whole crowd. Like, that is exactly what people want. And the truth is, you're soft. You don't like it. It hurts your feelings. Exactly. It hurts your feelings seeing somebody talk mess because you don't want somebody to do that to you and you can't take it.
So Luke Ayer in the chat. Luke in the chat said he's a front runner because he talks trash about injured teams. It's not his fault he's playing injured teams. He can't talk trash to healthy teams because he's not playing them. What do you want from him?
That's not on him. And I said it earlier, the only thing that I would have liked, wear the hoodie. If you had the hoodie packed, wear the hoodie coming into the arena, right? That would help you beat the allegations. But in terms of on court trash talking, that's a stupid talking point. It's very dumb. So that's the first thing where I don't care what anybody else has to say about that. The second thing that we're gonna talk about is, and I'm glad Mo is here. Mo, can you put that hat back on?
Absolutely. You ain't got to say it twice. Just for a second. And actually, another Atlanta hat got delivered like literally today. So
the hat over the headphones is diabolical.
It's wild.
What are you doing?
This is like 2004 Ti fashion. Like this is crazy.
It's Atlanta.
Anyways,
I say.
Anyways, I need the entire chat to weigh in on this. I do not think that Mo is allowed to claim Anthony Edwards and rep him as hard as he is just because they are both from Atlanta. When Anthony Edwards plays for the Minnesota Timberwolves and you are wearing an Atlanta Braves hat, there is no reason why you should be Mr. Anthony Edwards right now. You cannot claim him. Your team has the number one pick. Good for you guys. You can't say Anthony Edwards is one of us because he's not. He's
you know what you sound like? You sound like someone who just got dead ass bounced out of the playoff. You sound like someone
nothing to do with
who is a little bit upset because Atlanta finally runs the league. Any opportunity, any second, any moment that Anthony Edwards has to remind you where he's from, he's going to let you know about it. With the way he's talking, with the hat that he's wearing out of the locker room, in the press conferences, bro, with the charity events that he's doing within the city. You don't know about these Atlanta streets. Pop off, back off. And seeing someone like him thrive, who had disgusting allegations, and people were saying, oh, he doesn't like football. Hopefully the Atlanta Hawks don't get the number one overall pick back in pre-draft lottery days or whatever, because folks were saying he needs to be out of Atlanta, out of the just disgusting, just honestly racist talk. Seeing him be in Minnesota and just thrive makes me so happy because there's so many other little kids who want to be like Anthony Edwards. And the two little kids who's watching this right now, you can be the next Anthony Edwards. Just make sure you force your way to Atlanta eventually and do it right. I'm done.
You can't claim him. You're munching.
Are you done?
Thank you.
Are you done?
Hey, this was for the streets of Atlanta. Get out of here.
Anything else to add?
I'm full.
Oh, I know you're full. I know. You've eaten your fill.
I think. How do you feel? Can Mo claim it?
Of course I can.
I was asking. Asked Isaac.
Can he? Yes. Should he? No. Have some shame.
Thank you. That's the real question. You should not be doing that.
If they go to the finals, I'm literally buying an Anthony Edwards jersey. Take the hat off. If they would listen,
I think you should be honest. I think you should be an honest guy. I think you should say you think he's hot, not that he's from Atlanta, because that's what it all comes down to.
First and foremost, I think 25 episodes into this podcast, I said he looked like Frankenstein. I don't think he's hot at all. Now, is his swagger different?
Now he's overcompensating. Yeah. Now he's overcompensating.
Exactly.
Frankenstein, come on. You just ranked him high in your aura list.
I said that. It's on record. What do you mean? You don't have to necessarily look literally good to have aura.
Hey, Chad is spamming shame.
You're not a man about aura right there.
Chad is spamming shame.
Way more than just how you look.
Shame.
How you carry
yourself. You think that Anthony Edwards is not playing fair right now. Like that is where you are at. And the fact that the Hawks are not good.
Wait,
and you want
to? He's playing fair right now.
What?
Do you think he's playing fair?
I think Anthony Edwards is playing basketball.
You agree with me?
All right.
Yeah, someone in the chat said we should start spamming shame with every bad take now. Yes, please start publicly shaming.
Please. And let's
we
start
need
with this
more
one.
shame.
I didn't have a bad take at all. What do you mean? What did I say that was wrong about Anthony Edwards in Atlanta? And be so much of the
So
industry.
you were in a hat over headphones right now. Like this is how down bad. This is. Come on, stand up.
Crazy. Shout out to Mo for tipping $1. He said, "Why does it feel like the media hates Luka Doncic, or at least disregard him like he hasn't proven himself?" I think you choose to see what you want to see. There's plenty of Luka love and plenty of Luka slander. It comes with the territory of being the next young great player. You can focus on what you want to focus on, but I think both are very much there for Luka.
You mean the guy who was a finalist for MVP doesn't get enough love? Shut up. Shut up.
Who is Luka? It's weird.
Shout out to Fadi for tipping $5. He said, "Can't wait to see Bronny on the pod. Very proud of you guys. Coming soon. Appreciate it."
Ooh,
He told me to change the way I pronounce hilarious. Hilarious.
You
feel
say
like I'm
that
saying-
perfectly fine. The one thing
yeah.
that you
Hey,
like,
okay.
Isaac,
Shout out to
people hear
Sakarlo for
the way
tipping
you say
$1.
it,
Shout out
it's
to
like,
Sakarlo
all
for tipping
right,
$1. He
Isaac.
said, "Y'all people is
You just
beautiful,
say
nice and
one.
pretty." Shout out
Look
to
at him.
Elena for tipping $2. Is it a hot take to have KG over Dirk? I feel like when the 2011 finals run was super impressive, people overrate it so much. KG is Dirk with better offense. Ooh.
Isaac,
Wait, what?
say one.
You mean with better
You